the midnight class. The old, weathered clock in Westview High struck midnight. The once lively hallways were now eerily silent, save for the occasional flicker of the dim, yellowing lights. Whispers of an old legend stirred among the students, rumors of a ghostly teacher who appeared only at the stroke of midnight, searching for students to join her class. No one knew if it was true, but no one dared stay late enough to find out. Except tonight. 4 students, Mia, Lucas, Jasmine, and Sam, were part of the school's history club. They'd stayed after school to work on a project about local legends, ironically choosing the story of Mrs. Graves, a teacher who supposedly vanished 50 years ago under mysterious circumstances. According to the tale, she was teaching a night class when her entire class disappeared, never to be seen again. As the students gathered around their table in the library, Sam chuckled. "Come on, you don't actually believe in this ghost teacher nonsense, do you?" "Maybe not," Lucas replied, nervously glancing toward the windows. "But do we really want to find out?" Just as the debate grew heated, a cold breeze swept through the room. The lights flickered, and the doors creaked open by themselves. "That's strange," Jasmine muttered. Before anyone could respond, a loud thump echoed from the hallway. The students froze. Mia, the bravest of the group, grabbed a flashlight and motioned for the others to follow. Reluctantly, they stepped into the hallway, which seemed darker than before. The shadows stretched unnaturally long, like tendrils reaching for them. Suddenly, the school bell rang, loud and shrill, making their hearts race. But it wasn't just any bell, it was the old-fashioned one, the kind that hadn't been used in decades. The eerie sound echoed throughout the empty building. As they walked deeper into the school, they noticed something chilling. Every classroom door was wide open, as though inviting them inside. They cautiously peeked into one room. The desks were neatly arranged, but something was wrong. The chalkboard had words scribbled hastily across it. "Class begins now. Attendance is mandatory." Before they could react, the door slammed shut behind them. A figure materialized at the front of the room, an old, pale woman in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow, skin translucent. It was Mrs. Graves. "Sit down," she said, her voice echoing with a haunting melody, as though coming from all around them. "You're late to class." Fear gripped them, but they couldn't move. The ghostly teacher floated toward them, a sinister smile curling on her lips. "I've been waiting for students like you." Just then, a scraping noise echoed through the halls. It wasn't just Mrs. Graves they had to worry about. Groans and shuffling footsteps came from the hallway. They weren't alone. As they peeked through the door window, their worst fears were confirmed. A group of decaying, zombie-like students staggered toward the classroom, their eyes vacant, their clothes torn and covered in dust, as if they had been stuck in time for decades. "Those are her students," Mia whispered, horrified. "The ones who disappeared." "Attendance is required for eternity," Mrs. Graves continued, her cold voice sending shivers down their spines. "No one leaves until the lesson is learned." The zombie students began banging on the door, their moans growing louder. The ghost teacher snapped her head toward the sound, her eyes glowing with fury. The students seized the moment. "Run," Lucas shouted. They darted for the back door, but the room twisted, shifting around them like a nightmare they couldn't escape. The walls stretched, the exit seemed miles away. The air grew colder, filled with the chilling whispers of trapped souls. Jasmine, thinking quickly, grabbed a book from the desk, an old journal left behind. Flipping through the pages, she found the last entry to break the curse. The bell must toll 13 times. "Mia, the clock," Jasmine cried out. Mia bolted toward the main hallway where the old clock hung. But the zombies were closing in, their groaning filling the air. Mrs. Graves floated above them, her laugh chilling and triumphant. Mia reached the clock, and with a deep breath, slammed her hand against the bell's lever. It rang once. Twice. The sound echoed through the halls. The zombies slowed, as if weakened by each toll. Mrs. Graves screamed, her form flickering and distorting. With every ring, the walls of the school began to tremble. The air became electric. On the 13th toll, the lights went out completely. Silence. When the lights flickered back on, Mia, Lucas, Jasmine, and Sam were back in the library, gasping for breath. The school was empty again, just as it had been before midnight. There was no sign of Mrs. Graves, no zombies, no eerie presence. But as they stood there, catching their breath, They heard the clock chime once more, a soft, distant 13th toll. They were free. For now. But deep down, they knew the curse was still waiting. The midnight class might return. And next time, there may be no escape.